Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Year's January edition of the Modern Medicine Podcast. How's everybody doing? Hope it was a happy and a healthy new year for you all out there. We decide we're going to celebrate 2026 with an awesome episode planned today. It is the time of New Year's resolutions. And because it is the time of New Year's resolutions, we thought who better to bring in than a man that knows everything about the most common New Year's resolution, and that is fitness and exercise. My friend Guy Caracciolo, the fitness director of the Dedham Health and Athletic Complex.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
What's up, man? And then joining as always, producer Dave, chiming in from the back row over there.
From the peanut gallery.
Peanut gallery.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm just here playing silly sound effects.
Well, we got a terrific episode planned for everyone today. We got a lot. We're going to talk about fitness and health in the gym, and a lot of people anyone that has a gym membership and goes to that gym regularly knows it's just different in January and a little bit in February. It's crowded. You can't get a parking space. People come back. We know a lot of you out there are trying to get back into it. So we're going to talk with Guy about everything exercise and fitness. We got some great stuff in the news that I think you guys are going to find really interesting. And then we got the always exciting non-medicine topic of the month. And of course, producer Dave, extra time devoted to the Boston Sports Minute this month.
Gee, I wonder why. It's a special time. It's a special time in New England.
It is a special time in New England. You don't make the AFC Championship. Most cities don't see an AFC Championship game, every few years like we do.
Do you have any friends that are Jets fans?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
It's comedy, just listening to them.
It's comedy, and so you got to appreciate these moments, but we're going to get into all of that. But we're going to start with Guy Caracciolo, who is the fitness director at Dedham Health and Athletic. Guy, welcome. How you doing, man?
Very good, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my God. We're so happy you made it. And we're gonna. I got a lot of questions. I sent you a list of questions last night, but I'm going to actually start with just one that's completely off the cuff. So forgive me for this because this just came into my head. But, I'm sure you could write a book about the things you see people do in the gym. There's something strange about the gym that brings the weirdness out of people. Is that not an accurate statement? So what is the weirdest thing you've ever seen someone do at the gym? That's what I want to start with. Oof. Is it the water jug people?
No, it's usually right during January break, coming from Christmas into January. There's a lot of guests that are in town, and usually guests of members come in and they're new to a gym and they're trying to utilize a piece of equipment that they've never used before. And while it's funny, it can also be unsafe where see somebody trying to hang upside down from a lat pull bar machine, or somebody trying to use the assisted dip chin up for, I don't know, a single leg squat, and it can just be funny and also dangerous.
Absolutely. Of course, Guy is the director of fitness at the Dedham Health and Athletic Complex, where I too have been a member for many years. I was on vacation in Florida a few weeks ago, and there was this guy on the treadmill, and no disrespect to the guy, but he was probably about 150 pounds overweight, and he had a hoodie sweatshirt on, and he was walking backwards on the treadmill at a high rate of speed. And I'm like, should I get my camera ready? This has got viral video written all over it.
Sure. Yeah, the treadmill too is really a giant belt sander if you do fall on it. And it is probably one of the greatest injury-prone devices in the fitness center.
Yeah, those things can be really dangerous.
Especially when you walk on it backwards.
Yeah, I'm walking on it back. I thought that was special. All right, so tell us, Guy, a little bit about your background and what led you to want to work as a trainer and that sort of stuff.
Sure. I went to school. I was always a very active kid, played a whole bunch of different sports. I played football and baseball and hockey. And dabbled in golf as a hobby, and have downhill skied, and have had a variety of sports hobbies and interests growing up, and decided that, one of the other things that I did too was some bodybuilding shows, and I took home ec classes in high school, and I would always cook with my mom and dad too, but I really learned how to cook healthy when I had to get ready for a bodybuilding show. So in combination of the strength training, the bodybuilding style training, and the nutrition style training really kind of turned me on to, well, what is this about? And I remember reading in Muscle and Fitness in the late 80s that it said an exercise physiologist in the article somewhere. I was like, what's an exercise physiologist? So I looked into it and actually saw that Massachusetts has some great schools for it, and one being Bridgewater State University. And that was it. I applied there, and I stayed there and did my bachelor's and my master's there, and then stayed on as a part-time instructor for a period of time before I went out into the real world and got a job working as a trainer.
And you've worked at Dedham Health and Athletic for a long time. So for those in the area, Dedham Health and Athletic is one of the premier fitness facilities in the area. Beautiful gym, beautiful facility. You've been at DHAC for about 20 years.
Longer, 28.
28 years. Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Bravo for that. God
Thank
bless
you.
And tell us a little bit about DHAC and the facility and what it offers to people that are looking to get into a gym.
Sure. Dedham Health and Athletic Complex is a multifaceted wellness facility. We cater to adults through kids to families. We have a medical facility in the front, which you know of, which you have your office there.
For 11 years.
For 11 years now. And we have orthopedic surgeons in the front. We have acupuncture, podiatrist, MRI, X-ray.
Yep.
We have spray tan in the front of the building. So we always wanted to be a medical wellness-based facility so that we offered complementary care along with exercise. We have 2 physical therapy centers in the facility as well. And we have a 40,000 square foot fitness center, 2 indoor pools, an adult pool, a family pool. We have 11 tennis courts, 2 racquetball courts, multi-group exercise studios, a strength and conditioning area for kids athletics. What else do we have, Dennis?
Also, how about there's a place for people that are like newer, right? There's a place for people that are newer to the gym,
Correct.
right?
Yep, we have a medical wellness area as well that's termed our 60-60 program. And it is, you have to qualify to actually be in it. It's really for beginners or people that have tried to exercise and haven't succeeded at it. They have pre-existing conditions. They're in more of a special population group, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, overweight, sedentary, have depressive mindset, you name it. Pre-physical therapy for hip or knee joint or shoulder surgery, post-surgery, physical activity, and it's a way to learn how to exercise so that at the end of the day, we can try and make these people that come in here lifelong exercisers.
Right. So tell us, because I think you just hit on something really important, which is, for people like you and me, right? Not to brag, but we've been exercising our whole life, and
That's
it's
right.
easy for us to come to the gym, right?
That's right.
There's a lot of people out there that it's really hard to get into it. They just fell out of the habit. They're not used to being physically active. And these are the ones that often need exercise the most, just medically, psychologically, for many reasons, right?
Sure.
What does DHAC do? Because you do a lot to open the door for these people wide open and say, come in, you're welcome, getting them into not only where they feel comfortable, but to where they can safely integrate from a medical perspective into a fitness program.
Sure. Well, it starts off every member that comes into our 60-60 medical wellness program sits down with someone like me, a degreed exercise physiologist, who will go through their full health history. We already have a physician referral in hand, so their physician is already on board to know that they're going to begin an exercise program. Right. And then from there, we start the exercise program. The most important thing with starting an exercise program is the dosage.
Right.
Okay, so we start low and slow, and we slowly, incrementally increase the dosage over the course of those 60 days. So usually by the end of the first 3 to 4 weeks of coming in 2 times a week, they have a full cardiovascular, strength training, and flexibility program that takes between 45 minutes to an hour. You know, and it's slow and steady, and it's
so you ease people into
easing in, because you know, and I know that, again, we do like to exercise. So when we exercise, we like that level of breathing heavy, pushing ourselves a little bit harder. You know, you might be a little stiff and sore the next day from a muscular standpoint. Well, when somebody's just starting out, pain is pain. There's not that kind of like, oh, well, I know that is good.
And they're not used
discomfort.
to it.
They're not used to it. So it creates a negative barrier to want to come in the next time.
Right.
So the first thing and most important thing is that if they've stepped into the facility, they've already gone through their pre-contemplation, their contemplation, their preparation. They step in and they come in. They're in the action phase. And the goal is to keep them in that action phase and keep consistency, right? If we can keep consistent, we can always add more dosage of exercise. Right? So slow and steady is going to win this race. You know,
I always tell patients that, you know, something is better than nothing, right? Like 5 minutes is better than 0, 10 minutes is better than 5. But if that's all you can do, if that's all you can tolerate physically, like that's okay. And I actually pulled up this study that just came out last week in The Lancet, which is one of the best medical journals. And the headline of the study is "Deaths Potentially Averted by Small Changes in Physical Activity and Sedentary Time." And what this study basically showed, is a really well done study, is that like even just 5 minutes a day of exercise can lower your risk of death by 10%.
That's
so
huge.
5%, 5
5
minutes,
minutes.
you know? And we're not talking about running up the top of a mountain with a 50 pounds of weight on your head. We're talking about just going for a brisk walk for 5 minutes, 10% reduction in mortality, all-cause mortality. It's huge. So you got to get these people moving.
So anything, just like we typically say, 1 day is better than no days, 2 days is better than one, and three is like icing on the cake, right? But you can even, like you say, that 5 minutes, there's another method too, to say if the goal is to get to, let's just say 15 or 20 minutes of exercise, you can do the 1-2-3 method, which is walk for 5 minutes in the morning, walk for 5 minutes at lunch, and walk for 5 minutes after dinner.
Exactly. And I've always been of the school of thought that, like, you don't have to get all your exercise at once. Like the cavemen, they didn't have a gym, right? And they were way healthier than we were from that vantage point. So, like, you know, if you can squeeze in 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, sometimes I think in a way that might even be better if you space it out over time than just doing it all at once.
It's a cumulative effect. Right? Which they find that there's really no difference if I do one bout of 15 minutes versus 5, 5, and 5 throughout a day. And you know, everybody's life is really, in a sense, interval training, right? And interval training is the big thing that's in the literature now. But you know what? Well, we sleep in intervals, we work in intervals, and we can exercise in intervals that might be, rather than a minute of walking fast to a minute of walking slower, it's just 5 minutes of walking in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening.
Because that's really functional training at that point. Like functional meaning training that's useful to the application of life. And if I look back, you know, as someone that has been sort of that person that always goes to the gym for a long time, I look back to the way I lifted when I was in my 20s. And I'm like, you know, that was great, but that was so not functional. Like, what good is it for me to be able to push a big bar with 200 pounds on it? What good does that do me in my real life? All it's doing is making me more prone to injury. Now, if you look at how I train, my arms would rip out if I lifted what I used to lift when I was young, right? But I'm doing things that are replicative of the movements that I'm going to come across in day-to-day life. I do resistance bands. I do lighter weights. I'm doing movements that might be more typical to what we're doing. I think that is way more useful than sort of the big traditional lug nut, which we maybe both were when we were younger, right? Of pulling out the big weights and doing the squats. And I don't know how, I mean, I think the newer stuff is way more useful.
Well, I think that there's a big difference between training for wellness and improving your health span and your lifespan than it is to looking good at the beach or trying to push more weight. And, you know, you're a strength athlete. From an athletic standpoint, I think most people at that point are, you know, you're beyond like general fitness and health and well-being. You're more so, you're trying to push yourself to a level for whatever that reason is. And when you do push yourself to that level, you are prone to injury.
Right.
And as we get older, we really have to just think joint preservation. I have to think that this is the long game and that this is the marathon, and it's not a sprint. And,
1,000%.
Right.
And I think you just said something so important, which is like, a lot of people go to the gym because they want to look good or they want to necessarily lose weight. And I get that. And that's great if you can do it. But whether you lose a pound or not, exercise is so beneficial for you. You know what, no matter what you look like or, you know, whether you lean up or don't lean up, just getting in and getting your heart rate up and doing the strength training and the cardio, that benefits every cell in your body in so many ways, whether you lose a half an ounce or not.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you know better than I do, but you know the mitochondrial function and improvement in mitochondrial function and number just from doing consistent light cardiovascular activity on the regular.
Right.
You know, so that is the most important thing. We try to develop consistent habit of exercise, and you know, the most important thing that we're only as strong as our weakest link, right? And typically, as we get older, or we're starting or beginning an exercise program, it's many times connective tissue issues, right? Yeah. So if you feel like pain or discomfort in one knee joint, then theoretically you've done too much, right? So the goal is really to only increase small amounts per week.
Right.
And you typically, a safe level of increase in just say aerobic exercise of walking is to increase 10% per week.
Yeah.
So, right, if you're
very modestly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're walking 10 minutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then next week you would do 11 minutes.
Right.
How many people do 11 minutes, right? Because everybody's like, well, I'm starting. It's the beginning of the new year. And
I'm going to go walk an hour.
I'm going to go walk.
And then they get hurt.
I did 15 minutes this week.
Yeah.
Well, I feel so good. I'm going to do 30 minutes.
Right. You have to ease into it.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the real challenge that a lot of people face, because like I come of the school of thought, and I think there's good scientific literature to support that a worked body is a better functioning body, that our bodies are meant to be worked, that we're meant to move, that we're meant to challenge our bodies, and movement is good for our body. But the challenge is we have a population right now that's so deconditioned to exercise. Correct. And so when you all of a sudden try to go from 0 to 65 in midlife, then that's where you run into problems. Yes, your body needs to move and you need to get moving, but it has to be done in a very controlled and gradual and smart way, because otherwise it will actually paradoxically, cause injury.
Correct. Yep. And that's what we really try and push at Dedham Health, is slow and steady is going to win the race. Yep. We can always increase the dose. We can always add more A, B, or C, whether it's more cardio, more strength, more mobility. But the key is to develop the consistent habit, because I know you know, and I know that motivation has its ups and downs, right? Yep. So when motivation wanes, you need habit to maintain, right? And that's where self-discipline comes in, whereas you might not want to go, but if you do get through those doors and you expect nothing, just you're going to walk through the doors and you're going to try something, you might surprise yourself, because many times I think mentally our head makes us feel like, I'm just kind of tired. Maybe I need a little bit of a break.
Right.
And if you can kind of push through, even just, you know what, I'm going to go in and I'm going to walk 5 minutes on the treadmill. I'm going to walk on the track, and I'm just going to try and walk through this tiredness. And many times you come out of there and you're like, I can't believe I didn't want to go.
I feel so much better. I 1,000% agree with that. Actually, I mean, you think of the times, I can't tell you how many times where I haven't wanted to run or exercise or lift, and I just get started and my heart starts pumping and I feel good, and then at the end of it I feel great. It just changes your whole day.
Correct.
So you got to push through a little, and having that sense too, there are times too where you push back, and I think the more you do it, the more you get a sense of it. I'll tell you right now, of all the times I've exercised and gone to the gym, and I go all the time, it's pretty common for me to not want to do it, and I find my way through it. There's probably only been 3, 4, 5 times ever that I've truly regretted pushing through it.
100%. Same here.
Let's talk a little bit. You hit on this earlier, but I want to talk about the 60-60 program because this is a big thing that Dedham Health and Athletic does. It's a great thing, and I think a lot of people still don't know about it. It's a program where people who are needing exercise, for medical reason, can have their doctor refer them to Dedham Health, and they will get personal training one-on-one. Is that right?
It's $60 for 60 days.
Yeah.
They're referred by. We always double back to their physician, but it could also be that they're referred by a medical professional. It could be someone in physical therapy that says, I've heard about the 60-60 program. You've just had your knee replacement. You're discharged from physical therapy, but you should really continue on a whole body exercise program. This program would be good for you. And then we would follow up and send the physician referral to their physician as well. $60 for 60 days. They meet initially with an exercise physiologist for a one-on-one consultation, and then we bring them back into the medical wellness area. We call it Wellness Central.
Right.
It's, if you've seen it, it looks kind of like a living room with strength training equipment around it and some cardio.
It's very comfortable.
It's super comfortable.
It's private from the rest of the gym.
It's private from the rest of the gym, and it's. You have to qualify for 60-60. You can't be a marathoner that hurt their knee, had knee surgery, was in PT, and wants to get back to marathon running. It has to be somebody that you're carrying too much weight, you've been sedentary, you just never were able to get yourself consistently exercising. That's typically who we work with. So it's more of a homogenous group of people that really are starting exercise or are looking really towards getting consistently exercising. And then after the half-hour visit, it's two days per week thereafter to come to a half-hour small group session. So it's an exercise physiologist with 6 60-60 members. And we slowly over time build the exercise program geared towards each individual. And it comes down to us educating the member so that they feel empowered to learn to do a basic exercise program on their own, right? And the way that happens is we have to educate them so they feel competent, and I feel our staff feels confident that the member is competent and confident enough to do it on their own, right? So the only way you feel confident in something if you become more competent, right? So we want to slowly give an education, show them how to do the movements properly, slowly increase the load of the cardiovascular exercise, the strength training, and slowly building up mobility in those 3 main areas and develop a consistent, well-rounded exercise program that they learn to do for 60 days.
And any doctor can refer. Any health professional. So this is a great program, a great way for all the people out there that are sedentary, that don't feel comfortable in the gym, that don't know what you're doing, right? You just have no idea what to do, what's too much, what's not enough. This is a great way to, in a very controlled way, get a couple months where you're sort of, with a lot of support, getting to the point where you can stand on your own 2 legs, so to speak, in a fitness setting. So it's a terrific program, and anyone can ask their doctor to refer them, and you guys will happily
take you on and get you consistently exercising. And if you wanted to continue on and stay as a member, that's great. But if you don't, maybe you live a little bit far away, or for whatever reason you're also a member at someplace else that didn't work out and you want to try there again, all the moves, all the exercise can be done at any health and fitness center setting. And we can help guide you on maybe which places to go if you don't want to come to us. And if you want to stay with us, that's great too.
What do you think, as someone that's been doing this work for a long time, what do you think are some of the big barriers for people that just simply refuse to exercise, even though they know they should, even though they know that their very health is at stake? I have so many patients that I just can't get to exercise no matter how much I beg them, and it's complicated. It's psychologically complicated. But what do you think the real barriers are?
I think it's hard, because many times people say, I just don't have the time, right? But if you don't have the time to spend on your health now,
Right.
you're going to have to spend more time on your health later.
100%.
You know, and not only more time, but more copays and more medication.
Cost,
and
yeah.
I mean, the cost of healthcare is just like out of control. And I would say if people can consistently, again, just start even light exercise, you're going to see your doctor less,
Right.
right? And you're going to keep your copays down, and you're going to keep your medications down. But I think it's a psychological barrier that maybe people have exercised before. I think most everybody has done some form of exercise, right? Just
Yeah.
like through their life. But maybe it was so painful that it created such a negative experience that, like, why do I want to go? And why do I want to be so sore
Yeah.
that I can't move?
Right.
Right? So that is not how exercise should be
Right.
prescribed.
Exactly.
It should not be like that. You should always leave your workout feeling like, you know what, I feel good. I could have done more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
just little steps.
You know what I hear a lot from people, Guy? I have a lot of patients that when I tell them, look, you need to go exercise, and they'll be like, well, I'm an electrician, or I'm a contractor, and I move around all day. And the way I answer that, and I want to see what you think about this, is I tell them, look, it's like a pyramid, right? When you move a lot during the day in your work, that's like the block of the pyramid, the bottom block. You need those 10,000 steps, right? Moving around.
Sure.
But there's something really good physiologically about getting your heart rate up and keeping it up that benefits you on like a cellular level. So I say, look, you need a little bit of, you need the building blocks, but then you need some of the moderate stuff. And then you need a little less of the high intensity stuff. And then somewhere in that pyramid, you got to work in a little strength training and stuff. So I don't know, what do you tell people that say, oh, I don't need the gym, I have a job.
I'm a carpenter.
I'm a carpenter, yeah.
Well, I would say that just like any activity, if you want to perform your occupation, that could be banging nails or laying wire or pulling wire through ceilings, any sort of like more of a hard-working style job, you need, if you strength train and you perform cardio, you will perform your job better. You'll add longevity, you'll add years to your job, and you'll perform your job better.
100%, 110%. That's beautifully said. All right, and then one more question for me. So, do you think doctors like me place enough emphasis on exercise in your experience?
I believe you do, and the doctors in our facility do.
Yes, we're biased. Probably,
yeah,
'cause
we're
in a
very
gym.
biased, and every
Yeah.
doctor that works at the club in your practice, everyone works out.
Yes,
Right? All the
100%.
doctors work out. They're actually in the fitness center working out.
Yes.
And come across their patients. And, you know, when a patient sees their doctor working out, it motivates them to continue working out. Like, that is huge.
Yes.
So if a doctor is going to write a prescription to say, you know, I want you to take this, right? And you know what the prescription fill rate is just from a medication to take. It's not 100%, is
Right,
it?
no.
It's like in 70%,
Yeah.
right? So I think if doctors can still continue to prescribe and set good exampple
Right.
to their patients, like, listen, I'm super busy too, but if you can go in and work out, if it's even just, you know, 5 minutes, or here's the other thing too that is important to mention is non-structured exercise.
Right.
Right? If you have a dog, you think you're walking your dog. Well, your dog is walking you
Yeah,
too.
right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
things like that are super important to remember as well.
Right.
But I would highly recommend that all physicians, obviously they know the benefits to exercise on their own and set good examples for their patients, but it will also motivate their patients to actually exercise.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, 10,000%. And like, look, there's a lot of science that exercise benefits a lot of medical conditions. And I think that is incumbent upon us when people come to us with problems that we know there's good scientific literature that it benefits them, then I think we need to spend time at least saying that to them. And I'm going to give you a great example. Whenever someone comes into my office and wants an antidepressant or tells me they're having anxiety or they're having a mood problem, right? If you look at the strength of literature, in my opinion, saying, you know, the likely benefits of a pill for that versus the likely benefits of exercise, I think you could easily make an argument that exercise is a safer and definitely more effective treatment for minor mood disorders than most of the medications we use, such as antidepressants right now. Very little downside. So, we need to be discussing that with our patients when they come in as a treatment, and as you said, maybe things like the 60-60 program are great things to help people like this, but as much as we are so quick to give people a prescription for Lexapro or Prozac or sertraline or something like that, or metformin or lisinopril or whatever it is we're treating, we also need to take time with people and say, look, you need to exercise too. That's part of the prescription.
Correct.
I have this great little paper.
100% agree.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have this great paper here. Exercise just came out last week. Exercise is as effective as medication in treating depression. Study funds just out last week.
Yep.
All right. Producer Dave, you got anything you want to add, my man, from the back row?
No, it's encouraging for an old fart like me who, at some point I had to downshift to, I'm walking 3 or 4 times a week. And when one day I woke up, I said, what happened to me? I used to run. I used to play basketball. It's the recovery is such a thing. And yes, you feel better if you exercise regularly, but you also feel better if you're not you don't have aches and pains all the time. So I'm just encouraged, Guy, by what you said about the little bit of walking here and there with regularity is going to make a big difference over being sedentary. Because I sit here and I punch buttons and edit podcasts all day. I got to get out and walk. So.
I think, Dave, that's one of the things that really deters people is I can't go for a 3-mile run or 5-mile run anymore. So why bother? And it's no, if you just go for a damn walk around the block, that's going to have huge benefits.
Yep. Yeah. Or, I got a grocery store that's 3/4 of a mile away from where I live.
Yeah.
When I'm when I'm thinking properly, I'm like, well, why do I got to drive there? I got time. Right. I'll walk there.
Right.
Of course, you can't get like a 12-pack of Coke and bring it back on your own.
Oh, you sure can. That's part of the workout.
Farmer's walk.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
All right. Guy, are you going to stick with us for In the News and the rest of the podcast?
Sure.
Or are you taking off? Awesome.
Sure.
All right. Beautiful. All right, Producer Dave, I think we're ready to move to In the News.
In the News.
All right. We got some good stuff this week. Things you may have heard seen on Facebook, heard in the news, read in the paper, trying to get the real scoop on what's truth and what is fiction. We're going to talk about some of the most prominent stories that you may have seen in the news this week. And I want to start with a great one. It ties, I think, a little bit into what we're talking about. Big paper just came out a few weeks ago about something called CRP, which is some C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker that is easily tested in a blood test in your doctor's office. Producer Dave, have you ever heard of CRP?
No, can't say I have.
Guy, have you?
I have.
You
yes.
have, because
Yep.
you know. So this is an inflammatory marker. It is very non-specific. But what they were able, the American College of Cardiology just released a report recently that CRP levels are actually as strong a correlate with your likelihood of having heart disease as cholesterol levels. So everyone gets their cholesterol checked when they go for their physical. I guarantee you not a lot of people are getting their CRP checked. It is a good idea to at least discuss this with your doctor because a low CRP level more or less excludes heart disease, okay? If it's a high CRP level, the problem is it's very non-specific. It could be 1,000 things that cause it to raise, but generally speaking, persistently elevated CRP levels do correlate with higher risks of heart disease.
And arthritis and lupus, apparently.
And arthritis and lupus. It is a simple blood test. It can be easily done as part of your annual physical. So if you hear about this test, do give it a shot. Talk to your doctor about it. Okay, next deadline. Study suggests most Americans would be healthier without daylight savings time. Producer Dave, what is your thoughts on daylight savings time?
I enjoy it. Because I enjoy it because both of them are kind of good. Maybe I'm a cockeyed optimist, but I like spring forward. That's when you get the extra hour of sunlight, right? Yep. Yeah, and then I love that because then all of a sudden it's 8 p.m. and I feel like I'm a kid playing wiffle ball outside until 8 p.m., which is fun. And then, but then fall back. Yeah, it gets darker, but you get that extra hour of sleep. So,
Guy?
I was all for it until probably the last 3 or 4 years. I feel like it affects me a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And I think from an insurance actuary standpoint, they would be probably all for keeping it consistent, because I think car accidents and heart attacks and things like that increase as well.
So that's been well established in the literature. What this study really showed is that there was actually more chronic health problems related or correlated with the changes every year. And actually, this study looked at 300,000 cases of stroke per year and 2.6 million cases of obesity every year that they extrapolated out and said could be related to the fact that we go through this change every year. Personally, I want my hour at night. I don't want it in the morning. Like that's a useless, wasted hour.
Well, I want it the other way.
You really? Yeah. Everyone's different. You want it in the morning?
I like to get my workout in the morning. So if I can work out when it's lighter earlier and I'm outside, I prefer that.
You don't mind those, but you don't mind those winter months where all of a sudden it's like 4:15 p.m. and it's already getting dark.
I'm not gonna lie, I do hate it.
You don't like that either,
yeah. You know, I don't think it's.
See, I'm a morning workout person too, but I'd rather be out there and it's like half dark working out than and not have to deal with the 4:15. That hour makes a big difference for your mood.
It does make a difference.
Getting out of work and having at least be a little bit of daylight, that makes a big difference. All right. Next one, we are going to talk about, I got to do this every month, Producer Dave. Cannabis-based medicine for chronic neuropathic pain in adults. This was a large meta-analysis. Just came out last week in the Cochrane Library. Big study, and the take-home from the study is there is no clear evidence for an effect of THC medications on pain relief, no clear evidence for effective THC in CBD medicines on pain relief, and no clear evidence for CBD-dominant medicines in pain relief. So I think this is a really important thing to talk about, because a lot of people there might be using THC or CBD even for chronic pain, and the reality is, again, the scientific literature, it's not passing muster.
So let me ask you, so is it sort of a myth that's developed that because you hear reports of people who have chronic pain, or even, and maybe this is a different ball of wax, but like soldiers who suffer from veterans who suffer from PTSD, that the cannabis is something that really helps them sleep through the night, get through the day, etc. Is that just, are they kind of fooling themselves, or what do you think?
I think so. I think a little bit. Yeah. I mean, placebo is a powerful thing too.
Yeah.
If people believe something, then it tends to happen. That's why we do studies to tease out what's placebo and what isn't. But, you know, people, and this has been studied scientifically, people are very poor judges of their own neuropsychiatric state. So just because people say, oh yeah, it makes me feel better, they might not be perceiving that it's actually making something worse, you know, and that's why it's so important that we look at these studies and do these things. But I just bring it up because I really feel like, you know, this whole thing with the THC and the cannabis, it's just a corporate scam that's being pushed on people right now. And I don't think that there's really a lot of scientific literature saying there's really much benefit. And we've talked in previous episodes of the podcast, there is a lot of evidence of harm. So like any other medicine, I don't care what it's called. I don't care where it comes from. The burden of proof is on the medicine to prove that it's safe and effective. And when the scientific literature isn't backing it up, doctors, public health people, we need to stand up and say that, because otherwise there's a lot of misperception out there.
And I suppose you could say, you know, if you take marijuana, you're going to get high. That's going to feel good, you know, for a period. In the same way, I mean, you could say, and so maybe that's kind of where the thing comes from, or there's been a permissiveness of people to take marijuana if they're not feeling well. I mean, you can also drink a bottle of bourbon and you'll feel well for a little while, but there's no one who's going to tell you that there's a long-term health benefit to that.
You know what else can help people sleep? Hitting them in the head with a mallet. I mean, you know, so you have to weigh the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
Exercise will help you sleep too.
Exercise will help you sleep too. Absolutely, with no side effect profile. All right, next one. I thought this is a really interesting story I saw. just the other day, financial hardship after surgical procedures. And this was a study that was published in JAMA Surgery a few weeks ago. And basically, they found that people that just had to have surgeries, okay, had like significantly more medical debt. I'm trying to find the conclusion here. Way more medical. We're way more likely to be in debt. We're way more likely to have like excessive medical bills. 16% relative increase in financial hardship. 38% of people report a financial hardship after surgery. 8-fold increase in annual out-of-pocket spending. So, you know, when we talk about like the healthcare system and you know, what happens when someone gets sick, even if it's not a big surgery, you need your gallbladder out, you need your knee done, whatever, you know, it pushes a tremendous amount of cost onto people in a way that probably is kind of unfair.
Yeah, and it's also hardship on your significant other as well, because usually when you lose one participant in life, let's say, you have a caregiver too that loses their participation.
Right.
So how many caregivers are missing out on their workout or their social activity because they have to take care of that person as well? So.
Yeah, 1,000%. All right, next one. I want to talk a little bit about chronic kidney disease very quickly in the news, and the reason for this is what do you know about chronic kidney disease, producer Dave? Anything?
No.
I'm gonna give you a few facts on chronic kidney disease. Okay, causes more deaths each year than breast cancer or prostate cancer. Under-recognized as a public health crisis. This is from the National Kidney Association. 35.5 million adults are estimated to have chronic kidney disease. That's 1 in 7 people. 1 in 3 adults at risk for it. Do you know what some of the biggest risk factors for chronic kidney disease are?
Drinking? No.
How about hypertension?
Oh, okay.
Something that like 30% of us have. Diabetes. 1 in 3 adults with diabetes, 1 in 5 adults with high blood pressure have chronic kidney disease. Diabetes is considered the most common cause of chronic kidney disease, and most cases of chronic kidney disease are actually caused by either diabetes or hypertension.
I take it untreated hypertension, right?
Untreated hypertension. Okay. So the better, that's why it's important to see your doctor if you're diabetic, have high blood pressure, or exercise.
I have high blood pressure, but it's under control.
It makes a big difference. Yeah. It's just a fluid pressure pushing on the arteries and how that affects everything. So if you control your blood pressure, that makes a big difference. But everyone that has chronic kidney disease out there, this is what I kind of want to get to, because I just think this is an important public health message. There's 2 tests that you really need to get at least once a year, if not twice a year. One is a metabolic panel to test for your renal function to make sure your kidneys aren't advancing too big. So when you go to see your doctor, make sure they're testing that. And then number 2 is urine, protein in your urine. And this is really important, because one of the things we're starting to see in our studies is that people with chronic kidney disease that have protein in their urine, they have a lot higher rates of death and a lot higher rates of heart disease. So how that correlates, how this ends up relating to this is a complex physiologic thing. But if you have protein in your urine, it's something that you should really know about if you have kidney disease. And I have to say, it's treatable. There are drugs now that can treat it, and that makes a big difference. So really important to have this conversation with your doctor. Okay, next one. Best for last. Patriots not worried about elevation changing AFC Championship game. Let's talk about one of the hottest of hot topics this week in the Boston area, altitude sickness. Going to be a big factor on Sunday as the Patriots go to Denver. Producer Dave, what do you know about altitude sickness? Anything?
Well, I know that it's always brought up here and there, like every NFL season, that there's an adjustment when you travel to Denver, just because it's easily the highest altitude of all the NFL cities. But you know, I mean, if there was such an advantage to like the Broncos being home and playing in their normal altitude, I think they would have more success in the NFL. But it's always a thing, and I've been to Colorado, and I don't remember people telling me just drink a lot of water, and I seem to remember being fine. But I don't know. Is it?
Did you play in an NFL game?
No. No, I went for a walk.
There you go. You think, Guy?
Yeah. I think with the altitude, with it, the ideal situation for them is to literally fly in that day, play the game, and then fly home.
That's what they're doing.
Right.
And that was controversial. A lot of people were saying they should go out like a week early or something, or 5 days early, and acclimate to it.
Yeah, I think they'd have to go for 2 or 3 weeks for
At
acclimation.
least, at least. So
right.
I actually agree with
Yeah,
what Vrabel did on this one. Like, I think you get in and you get out. If you go out there and it's going to take like 2 to 3 weeks for your body to start making like the red blood cells to truly compensate for this. So that's not happening, right?
Correct.
And then, if you're out there for a day or 2 or 3, the second you get out there, the first thing that happens is your respiratory rate starts to go up. You're trying to maintain homeostasis. There's less oxygen in the air. Your body's trying to preserve oxygenation to your tissue, to preserve vital metabolic function. And so you start doing things like you breathe faster, your heart beats faster, all that stuff. You offload, you get, your blood will get a little alkalotic, which will help you offload oxygen a little more to tissue. All that's compensatory stuff. That takes place over the first 2-3 days. The reality is that unless you're out there, as you said, for 3 weeks, it's really not going to fully matter.
Right. And that's usually the recommendations that we give athletes that are going to fly from here and do the Leadville 100.
Yeah.
Is to fly, literally be there for a day, do the race, and fly home.
Right. Just get out of there.
You just can't.
And I think it becomes a factor in like the second half of the game when you're really challenged. I mean,
sucking wind. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why the Patriots can't fall behind.
They'll have oxygen on the sidelines.
Right. And hydration and like doing things like, not drinking alcohol or not drinking, I would say none, but certainly not too much alcohol. Even avoiding something like caffeine is important because caffeine can dehydrate you. That can really affect you a little more when you're in the altitude situation.
They don't have Super Bowls in Denver, do they?
No.
I wonder if that's why.
That might be a reason.
One of the reasons.
Yeah. And maybe the weather isn't that great.
That's true. It's usually pretty cold.
All right. Anything else? Anything else on any of these stories in the news, guys, before we move on to the non-medicine topic of the week?
I'm ready, Doctor.
All right. Let's go.
The doc is off the clock, so it's time for the non-medical topic of the week.
All right. The best part of every show we do, the non-medical topic of the week. I just threw my pager in the garbage, signed out, and I am in the doctor's lounge, my feet up, ready to relax. And I want to talk this week about the snowstorm that's coming and just snowstorm etiquette in general. And what are the worst, weirdest things that people do that really irk you when we know we're getting a blizzard?
I personally hate the overreaction, the hype cycle. I don't know if either of you are old enough to remember Shelby Scott. She was a reporter for, I think, WBZ TV4. And poor Shelby, they always sent her out in the snow. And sometimes she'd be like, with the hood up, the furriness, like the big scarf and everything, and she's getting snowed on. She's like, I'm here out at 128, it's slowing down. And another time she'd be like, there's nothing happening here. I'm not. There's the one sort of bastion of local news that has survived this, revolution in terms of streaming information, everything. Weathermen. They fire out anchors all the time, but there's always 5 meteorologists. It's too much. That's it. That's what I think.
1,000%. What about the weather girl that they literally send out to like the Wrexham Beach in Marshfield, and they're in their Green Harbor, and they're out there, the waves are like crashing down on the poor lady, and she barely stand up, and it's like, man, I hate that. It's like, does she really need to be there?
No, just show us pictures maybe if we want to see it. Send the cameraman out, let him stay in the van and just shoot. Yeah, it's too much. Although I do enjoy it when the weather person is out there going, "Oh, it's terrible here," and then somebody walks behind and just waves.
I like that. That's a classic.
Yeah.
Bread and milk.
Bread and milk. Bread and milkites.
Bread and milk.
Oh, that is going to happen right now. Get ready for it.
And water. People buy tons of water. I mean, people buy water anyway, but I don't know why you buy water because you think the power is going to go out. When was the last time the water went out?
Yeah.
Water doesn't go out generally.
Yeah.
Anyway.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, the grocery stores are going to be a nightmare tomorrow, like an absolute nightmare. Like, do not. I would not want to go to any sort of like any grocery store.
What are your pet peeves, Dennis?
Well, I mean, the bread and milk thing is a big thing. 100%. That's a big one. The weathermen that are constantly wrong. Can we talk about that? Like, how can you let's be real. They're predicting 18 inches of snow on Monday, and I think we're just as likely to get 3 inches as we are. You just don't know.
I think it's close to 80% of storms are less than they are predicted, and it's because I think they do add a couple inches just to keep. Because what do you then? Oh my God, I heard we're going to get 10 inches. Let me tune in again. Let me check again.
Right.
Whereas if people go, that's not going to be no big deal, then people forget about it. One more pet peeve: people that drive too slow. I know you have to drive slow. Please do be cautious in the treacherous. The only time you ever hear the word treacherous in New England, it's the roads, treacherous road. But if you're trying to get up a hill and there's someone in the snow and there's someone going 15 miles an hour, it's like, no, you got to accelerate enough to at least get up the hill. So cautious, but not too cautious.
What about the over-aggressive cancellation of schools now?
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one, too. Like, when we were kids, right? Like, they would, foot of snow, you're not getting canceled. Now, it's like they get a slushy rain and everyone's home for a day.
I know, it's too much.
And then we're in school on, like, June 25th.
Exactly.
This year we were late because last year they canceled the day that it rained out. It wasn't even snow. It was icy, watery rain.
Of course, it completely flips. This is one of these things. Remember when you're a kid and now you're an adult.
Totally.
When you're a kid.
Right.
Because we used to have to listen on the radio. They're reading off the towns, and they get to your town.
Right.
It was the greatest if you heard your town.
On the ticker, and be there at like 6 a.m, waiting. Acton, Boxborough, Arlington. Where's Dedham? I need to know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And then when you're a parent, it's the opposite because who's going to watch the 3 kids at home when you got to go to work? Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, I'll tell you right now. Like, I'd say a little bit. People that people that refuse to go out just because it snows a little. I mean, now if you're old or you have like a broken hip or something, that's different. But like, I mean, we're New Englanders, right? If there's like a moderate snowstorm, we should be able to, once it dies down and the worst is behind us, we should be able to get out and do our thing. Like, you don't need to buy 6 gallons of milk. You should be able to, I mean, you're going to be able to get to the grocery store on Monday night, whatever happens on Sunday and Monday this week.
Like the Pats game last week, right?
Yeah.
That was fun being at it in the snow.
It was great being at it in the snow.
Exactly.
It was awesome. It was awesome. But there are going to be people that like hole up for like three days. I mean, honestly, I don't want to tell anyone to go out because that could be dangerous. But like, I'm just saying, like, if I go out on Monday, that's going to be a great time to run a few errands. Like, no one is it's like the world is yours. That's
best.
what I love about it. That's the best. All right. Anything else? All right. Let's move to the Boston Sports Minute. Extra time for this.
Oh, good. More than a minute.
A minute.
It's the Garden. It's Teddy Ballgame. Yaz and Poppy in Noma. It's Brady and Larry and number 4 Bobby Orr. It's Fenway Park. It's the Boston Sports Minute. Let's go.
All right. The Boston Sports Minute, and obviously, no surprise here. We're talking about the Patriots in the AFC Championship game in Denver. Producer Dave, Guy, let me start by saying this. I am going to be that guy. I don't want this. I think that I'm rooting for the Patriots to win. I think the Patriots are going to lose this week.
No.
Yeah, I really
Say
do.
it ain't so.
I'm that guy. Yeah, I really do.
Well, I told you when you came in here before we started recording that I'm just I think I'm more nervous now than if the Denver quarterback was healthy and Bo Nix. Because what do you think the spread would be if Bo Nix was healthy?
Oh, I know what it would be because they said it was Denver would have been a 1.5 point favorite.
Okay,
so
I might have felt sort of more looking forward to the game if that were the case because there's no fun being the favorite, and that's what's so bizarre about this season is they've been the favorite. This will be the 3rd playoff game in a row we've been the favorite, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who saw us even making the playoffs? But who saw that coming? And usually, when the team is on the way up, and being 4-13 the last 2 seasons, we're decidedly on the way up. Usually, it's that it's fun being the underdog.
Yeah.
Bob Newmeyer used to say the fun part is on the way up.
Yeah.
Once you're on the top, it's not as. I mean, it can be fun, but
it's an unusual situation
Right.
because Denver's backup quarterback obviously is in there, and
why do you think we're going to lose?
Well, I'm getting Nick Foles vibes from this whole thing. Like nobody's taking Stidham seriously, and I think Sean Payton will get the best from Jarrett Stidham. He's had a week to prepare. He's a brilliant coach, and I think for 1 week, he's going to be able to get enough out of him to win. The reason I really like Denver in this game is because I just watched at home, mind you, how hard it was for the Patriots to protect Drake May. They had major protection issues. He was getting clobbered. He fumbled a bunch both games. Yeah. And now you're going to put us in Denver. Drake May is not going to be able to change the protection at the line as well with all the noise. And they are the only team in the NFL that actually had more sacks than the Houston Texans. It's the Denver Broncos. They led the league in sacks. I think they're going to be all over Drake. We're not going to be able to protect him, and I think that's going to be the essence of why we struggle.
Well, we haven't really protected him that well in the playoffs so far. Yeah. And somehow we've managed. The thing that gives me hope is our defense is on a tear. Yep. And I think is peaking now with he just slipped my mind, the defensive lineman who we just got back.
Milton Williams. He's terrific.
He makes a huge difference, right? So having him and Gonzalez is healthy, and although I don't know if Carlton Davis is playing, maybe not. But anyway, the teams tend to surge in the playoffs when their defense is peaking. Both of those Giants teams that we lost to tragically in the Super Bowl, they weren't the best teams for the whole season, but their defense was just on fire at the end of the season.
Agreed.
And so I hope that's us. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more turnovers from our beloved number 10.
Yeah, I think that's the essence of what's going to happen. And as great as the Patriots defense has played, and they've been terrific, I would just say, look, they had their crowd behind them the last two games, and that was a big factor when you have two quarterbacks that just completely melted down, were confused, were obviously rattled last week with C.J. Stroud. And I just think that, as bad as Jared Stidham or as mediocre as he's been his whole career, I don't think he can give you less than C.J. Stroud gave gave them last week. I think if Stidham just comes in and doesn't totally melt down, that's going to be a step up. And at the end of the day, the Houston game was a lot closer than I think some people want to make it out to be. It was a closer game. That game was a losable game.
And plus, there is something nerve-wracking about the fact that we seem to have 2 to 3 spectacular plays a game. Yeah. And what if Booty drops? It would have been no crime if he dropped that pass. It was an incredibly difficult catch. Right. But when it's this degree of difficulty, sometimes I worry. Although McDaniels will have a trick play, I think, in this game. He'll pull it out when he needs to.
I agree with that. I'm expecting big things from Josh McDaniels.
Guy, you're not picking Denver, are you?
No,
Good.
I think the Patriots defense is going to hit hard and fast, make Stidham melt down, and it's going to come down to probably a field goal.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we're kicking good through thinner air.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I think this is going to be a field goal game. I think the spread is too high, and obviously I hope the Patriots pull it out in the end. I'll certainly be rooting for that. I want to eat these words and be wrong desperately, but I just have a weird feeling about this game. I really do.
I have an uneasy feeling about it. I admit it. Yeah, just because it's Denver. We're 0-4 in Denver in the playoffs. Yep. And it's always tragic. And but let me ask you one more thing, Dennis, and you too, Guy. As a fan, from a fan's perspective, what's your sort of attitude about this whole thing? Because it's not uncharted waters for our beloved New England Patriots with our 6 Super Bowl titles, but it is in that this is the first run we're making. Well, Mac Jones made the playoffs once. That wasn't count. It's the first legit run we're making with the new cast of characters, and some people, fans of like the Jets and the Dolphins, are telling us we don't deserve this. But I don't know. What's your feeling as a fan? Like, Guy, you go ahead.
I mean, I think Vrabel is the right coach for the New England Patriots, and he has this team thinking that they're going to be champions.
But do you think we're spoiled? Like, do you think?
Well, I mean, I would say that it seems like we've gone again from Super Bowl champs for years and years, and then down in the dumps to now all of a sudden we're in the running.
I know. Would you be disappointed about the season if we lose on Sunday?
I wouldn't be disappointed.
I mean, you're going to be disappointed about the loss,
they're
naturally.
This close, but you know what? I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
One thing we don't talk enough about in professional sports is ownership, right? Yep. Ownership is so important, and you have to give Robert Kraft a lot of credit. He's caught a lot of crap the last 2 years. him firing Gerard Mayo last year was one of the toughest decisions that an owner would have to make. It took a lot of guts to do that, and it was the right decision. I just watched the New York Jets last week. They're doubling down on Aaron Glenn, a first-year coach that is more than worthy of a firing for the way that team performed. They don't want to cut the cord. Kraft made the tough decision. Everyone laughed at him last January. Nobody's laughing now. So I just bring it up because you say we're spoiled. At some point, maybe not from year to year, but when you look big picture, the ownership really counts.
It's so true. But look no further than look at our other two franchises which that applies. Jerry Callahan wrote in the Boston Herald, this is Loserville, and that was right around the year 2000. We had gone a decade plus without a championship. It was Loserville. And then all of a sudden, all three franchises turned it around. Why? They all changed ownership. All three of them.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
it's amazing how that happened with John Henry, right? Yeah. All of a sudden, they got an owner that wanted to spend money and was invested, and 5 years later, the Red Sox are World Series champions.
Yeah, it's night and day. And that's why people bitch about the Red Sox now not spending and everything. And I was like, don't forget how we had it for 86 years. We had crappy ownership and just lost their way. And the Sullivan family they couldn't get out of their own way, just mistake after mistake, and then Kraft comes in. That's why it's
the Red Sox had no ownership producer.
Yeah.
They had the Yawkey Trust.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up in, the Yawkey Trust, and that was a nightmare. I mean, you talk about knives out, infighting, politics, BS with the media, off the field crap. I mean, that was the Red Sox for like the entirety of my life. John Henry, say what you will about him, and I'm not happy with what they're doing this offseason. He stabilized that.
Yeah, and I still don't write them off. I still think they're in the. But you're right about the Krafts, and it gives us hope as Patriot fans because Bob Kraft's not going to be on the planet for too much longer. I hope he does. I'm not wishing death upon him, but he's an elderly man. But it's in the family, and hopefully that structure continues with.
Let the record show. Producer Dave just wished death upon Mr. Kraft. I was not included in that. I was long, healthy life, 200 years old. All right. Anything else? Want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone that listened to this episode of the Modern Medicine Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay healthy, stay well, stay safe, be good, and we will catch you next month with another episode.